Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. It is the DRUG here once again, and it's time for NFL Week 16 picks. But before we get to that, we got the playoff standings to go over and last week's recap. And we're going to start with the recap of last week. So let's get going. On the Thursday night game, the Broncos easily handled their business against the Colts. The Lions defeated the Bears. The Chargers the Chargers lost to the Chiefs, giving the Chiefs a chance to win the division this week. We'll get to that in a little bit. The Bills beat the Dolphins. The Ravens beat the Browns. The Jaguars beat the Texans. Vikings beat the Bengals, giving the Vikings the division. Eagles beat the Giants. The Packers lost to the Panthers. We'll get to the Packers in a minute. Cardinals lost to the Redskins. Saints beat the Jets. Rams destroyed the Seahawks. Titans lost to the 49ers. Steelers lost to controversial fashion to the Patriots. Lost to the Patriots. Cowboys won in controversial fashion against the Raiders. And the Falcons beat the Buccaneers with ease. I went 11-5 last week, and I'm 141 in wins and 83 in losses. And I'll check who said the Go Bills in a minute. In the playoff picture right now, New England's the 1 seed in the AFC at 11 by Pittsburgh in second with the same record, but New England hosts a tiebreaker. Jacksonville's the 3rd seed right now at 10-4. They can actually lock up their division.
The Patriots.
They can lock up the division with a win this week or a loss by the Tennessee Titans. Kansas City can win their division this week as well with a win or with a win this week, as they would hold the tiebreak over the Chargers no matter what. Tennessee is in control of their own destiny at the 5th seed. Win the next 2 games and you win. Buffalo is also in the same spot. Win the next 2 and you're in. Baltimore is on the outside looking in, needing to win the next 2 games and getting some help by a Titans or Bills loss. Chargers can still sneak in at 9-7, but they would need the Ravens, Buffalo, and Tennessee to lose the rest of the way. Oakland, Miami, Jets, Cincinnati, Denver, Houston, Indianapolis, and the Cleveland Browns have been eliminated. By the way, Cleveland is guaranteed the number 1 pick no matter what at this point. Followed by the Giants in the 2 spot, Indianapolis in the 3 spot, Chicago 4, Niners in the 5th, and it gets confusing after that. Moving on to the NFC. Philadelphia is the 1 seed right now at 12-2. They can actually lock up the number 1 seed overall with a win and a loss by the Vikings this week. Vikings are the 2 seed. Vikings are the 2 seed right now at 11-3. Rams are the 4th. Rams are the 3rd seed right now at 10-4. They can lock up their division this week with a win and a loss by Seattle. If I am correct, let me just check that real quick. Yes, I am correct. That's how exactly what would happen. Just had to double check that. The Saints are the 4th seed right now. They can actually lock up a playoff spot with a win, eliminating Atlanta from winning the division if Atlanta loses this week. By the way, if I am correct, I believe they play against each other. Yeah, so if the Falcons lose that, Saints would automatically get a berth in. Same with Carolina. Carolina can actually get a berth this week if they win against their opponent in an Atlanta loss. Atlanta's the 6th seed right now at 9-5. If they win the next 2 games, they are in. It does not matter what Detroit, Seattle, or Dallas does. Detroit right now is on the outside looking in at 8-6. When the next 2 and Atlanta loses one of the next 2, you're in. Seattle.
Cam Newton.
For Seattle has to win the next 2 games and hope for a lot of help with Detroit and Atlanta losing the next 2. Dallas can still get in. They got to win the next 2 games. Lions have to lose at least one of the next 2, and Atlanta has to lose the next 2 as well, if I am correct. I might be wrong on that. I'm sure somebody's going to double check for me on that note. Now, let's get to the picks this week. By the way, I am going to pull up the comment section real quick. Good, Brad. Good. Play Mario games instead of watching what's on TV at work. All right. Now I should point this out. There are no Thursday games this week, so if you're expecting to watch a football game tomorrow night, you can't do that. I would recommend watching TNA so you can see the best world champion in the business today, Eli Drake, the leader of dummies. And that's not an insult. That is a fact of life, my friend. But let's get to the two Saturday games. First one, it is the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens need this one to keep any playoff hopes alive. The Colts look like they're tanking at this point on purpose. So I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens. It is my lock of the week. On an easy matchup, but they lose this, the playoff hopes are done, and the Bills will most likely get in the playoffs automatically. Moving on to the next. Okay, it's Brandon. I figured it was. Fuck the Colts, really. Moving on to the next game, which is the Saturday night game, Vikings at the Packers.
Fuck Colts and Ravens.
Not really important right now to a degree. I mean, it's important for the Vikings, but the Packers have already been eliminated. So I'm taking the Vikings here. Vikings need to win this one to keep a spot for the second seed so they can get a home game and a bye. And then trying to keep pace with the Eagles as well. Moving on to the Sunday games. I got the Panthers over the Buccaneers.
Yup.
You know, the Buccaneers.
Packers and Vikings.
You know, the Buccaneers did look pretty good in that showing against Atlanta. I think Atlanta's been mostly overrated this year. I think Carolina's actually proven to be a good team. I think Carolina's going to win this game and lock up a playoff spot. Moving to my upset pick of the week, I am taking the Cleveland Browns. That is right, Cleveland. I say Cleveland's going to walk right now and get the W and beat Chicago in Chicago.
Fuck Bucks and Panthers.
I have a feeling my buddy Brandon's just going to, a.k.a. the Dark Knight, he's just going to say, fuck everybody. But yeah, I got the Browns over the Bears. Moving on, the Detroit Lions travel to WKRP Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. I got the Lions here. The Bengals have been very underperforming, and as we found out this past weekend, they will, them and their head coach will be parting ways, so the Bengals will be looking for a new head coach this year. There's a really not pick, Dark Knight. You can't really just say F every team. You got to give a pick. Moving on to the Dolphins and Chiefs game. If Chiefs win this, they automatically get into the playoffs. Dolphins are pretty much just playing for pride at this point. I am taking the Chiefs at home to win this and lock up their division and get a playoff spot. Moving on to New England, the Bills travel to take on the Patriots. This game is important. There's no Sunday games.
They all suck.
Now wait a minute, hold on. Before you say they all suck, I would like to point out the Panthers, Vikings are going to be in the playoffs. Ravens are close to it, so they don't really suck. Anyway, back to the Patriots and Bills. I'm taking the Patriots here. I think there's too much. If Bills lose this, that could eliminate them from the playoffs, depending what happens with the Ravens. And of course, in Week 17,
I am taking Dolphin.
There is no.
Let us go Bills. Fuck the Patriots.
There is no pressure on the Patriots here. They've already got the division. The only real pressure on them is trying to hold on to the 1 seed. But I think they're going to get it right, and Patriots win this one, unfortunately. As much as I hate saying it and picking them. Moving on, we head to New Orleans because the Saints are marching home to take on the Atlanta Falcons, who did not really look that good on Monday. I'm taking the Saints to win this one.
Patriots suck.
I just think the Saints are the better team overall. If it's going to come down to quarterbacking, I'm sorry, I'm taking Drew Brees every day of my life, my friend. And thank you for whoever liked the video. So I'm taking the Saints. Moving on to New York. No, not the Giants. We're going to the Jets. Jets. As they take on the Chargers. Chargers need this game to stay alive and to keep any hope alive in the playoffs.
Let us go Falcons.
But if the Chargers lose and the Chiefs win, Chiefs automatically win the division as well. So Chiefs fans will probably be keeping an eye on this game. I got the Chargers winning, though. I think they are the better team than the Jets. I will tip my hat to the Jets. They have been a fighting team. They have not really gone down too easy. But I think that just, at this point, that all these teams who have been eliminated from playoffs, would I be shocked that some of them are going to tank? Not really, no. Moving on to Tennessee is the Rams taking on the Titans. Rams win this. They're in the playoffs as the division winner. If the Titans lose this, that gives the Jaguars the division if the Jaguars win. I am taking the Rams here. Rams have been way good this year. Overpowered, great offense, great defense. And did you just see what they did to Seattle? They put a whooping on Seattle. I mean a whooping. It was so bad that people changed the channel to watch golf. So I'm taking the Rams. All right, going to game on Sunday.
Going with Rams.
By the way, Merry Christmas to everyone. Hope everyone got what they wanted. I should point out the best 1 o'clock game to me is Rams and Titans, Bills, Patriots, Falcons, Saints. Those are the best 1 o'clock games because I think there's a lot of more playoff things. Yes, I know the Panthers have a playoff situation, Lions as well, but it's the Chiefs, Dolphins, Chiefs, Bills, Patriots, Falcons, Saints, and Rams, Titans to me that are the most important ones on Sunday at 1 o'clock.
Going with Broncos.
Heading to the next 1 o'clock game, the last one, I am taking the Redskins at home over the Broncos. Yes, what the Broncos did to the Colts was pretty impressive, but the Colts suck. They are actually one of the worst teams this year. Who knows what's going to happen there? It looks like the head coach is going to be fired in Indianapolis. No Andrew Luck. Redskins have been up and down this year. I still believe in Kirk Cousins. I think I still believe at this point he's playing as a tryout for other teams. So I hope he does well. Go Kirk Cousins and the Redskins. The 4 or 5 game into the Jaguars taking on the 49ers. Warning, warning. This is a trap game. Warning, warning. Why? The 49ers have, since they started Jimmy Garoppolo, have won every game. Jaguars are going to San Francisco. So there's that flight across the U.S. It's a trap game. Be warned, but I'm taking Jacksonville. I think they're the better team. I think the Niners winning streak stops. Heading to Arizona now for one of the two 425 games. It's the Giants and Cardinals. Both teams not really playing. Both teams not really playing for anything at this point except pride. I'm taking the Giants on the road here. Yes, I know the Giants have not been great this year, but Arizona, no AP. They're looking like they've kind of gone up and down. So I'm taking the Giants here. I think Giants do get one win. And with the Giants win, that will guarantee the Browns the number 1 seed no matter what, unless the Browns lose, which could fucking happen. The last Sunday game of the day will be the Seahawks at the Cowboys. I'm taking the Cowboys. Cowboys are getting Elliott back. Seattle's defense looks like it imploded on themselves the last 2 weeks. The offense has not really looked that great either. Yes, Russell Wilson's been playing great, but when you can't get in the end zone and your defense is giving up a ton of points, I can't recommend that, and I would say this right now. If you have the Seahawks as your defense in fantasy, don't play them. They have been terrible at stopping the run the last few games. Do not play them, okay? Play somebody else if you can.
Cowboys.
Moving on to the last 2 games, which are both Monday at 4:30 and 8:30 respectively. I am taking the Steelers on the road to beat the Texans. Texans have not really been that great this year. If the Texans start all their starting key players, I'd probably say, yeah, I'm going with the Texans. But the Steelers, I think they'll be playing angry. They want this win so they can hold on to that 2nd seed or try to get the 1st seed depending on what happens with New England. So I'm taking Pittsburgh on the road. And then the last game of the last Monday night game, which is at 8:30, it is the Raiders at the Eagles. Not really an important game. Raiders have pretty much been eliminated from the playoffs. Eagles are just trying to hold on to the 1 seed. I'm going to take Philadelphia here. You know, I was kind of worried with how they played against the Giants, who only have 2 wins. I think they'll get it together. Raiders have not been good this year. They've been up and down. Granted, Raiders did kind of get hosed this past weekend. I'll admit that. But I'm taking the Eagles. The Eagles just got too much firepower.
Raiders.
So my picks are Ravens, Vikings, Chargers, Patriots, Panthers, Saints, Chiefs, Rams, Lions, Browns in the upset, Redskins, Jaguars, Cowboys, Giants, Steelers, and the Eagles getting a W this week. Right now, and we're going to jump into the next week real quick. Not doing the picks, obviously, but just jumping ahead to Week 17. They have not announced the 8 o'clock game for Week 17. They're probably going to announce it after Monday. So my question is to you guys watching this right now, either live, like Dark Knight, aka Brandon's doing, or anyone else who will be watching this after it's done. Which game do you see being the 8 o'clock game next week in Week 17? I'm looking at it right now. I could see it being the Panthers and Falcons if there's playoff implications still. Cowboys and Eagles maybe if the Cowboys are still in the hunt at that point. Jaguars and Titans if the Titans need that win to lock a playoff spot, or if they're still trying to win the division at that point. So there's only really three or four games maybe. I'm going to say if it was me, I'd put the Jaguars and Titans on that. I think not enough people have gotten to see them in prime time. Put them in the prime time slot and see what happens. I say the only other one I could think of even putting in would be the Panthers and Falcons because of what it means in that one. But those are really the only two, and maybe, like I said, the Cowboys game that mean anything. I think if you put any other game in there at 8 o'clock, it's not really going to be important and people are not going to watch. So, yeah. But let me know what you think. Which game should be the 8 o'clock game in Week 17? Let me know what your picks are for this week. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. And have a Merry Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll see you next week for Week 17 of the NFL season. Good night, everybody.